Good afternoon. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm just here wanting to really share my heart. I don't know if you noticed, but I do that a lot because it's not my heart. And like I say, it's God's heart, but it's mine too, because I want so deeply for us, you, me, us, to get it. And so does God. And so I'm sharing. And sometimes when I hear other people just share from their heart, it just really her share truth, it just really impacts me. So I hope that you're impacted today. But, it's really, I was reading some things, and I listened to the sermon at church, which was all about love, and it was so phenomenal. And I'll start there and just say, in First Corinthians 13 is about love, but have you ever dug into that and realize that, what was shared at church today was we can lay down our lives for people, take a bullet for someone, but if we have not love, that doesn't mean anything. That's amazing to me. And so God says, love your neighbor. And then I have my Bible open here in 1 John 4:20. If someone says, I love God and hates his brother, he's a liar. For he does not love his brother whom he has seen. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? Okay, so what that means is, if I'd ask you, most of you listening, maybe not all, but hopefully most of you would say, yeah, I love God. But you can't love God and hate your brother. And what that means is, you can't be, if you go look at 1 Corinthians 13, you can't be rude to your brother. Who's your brother? Who's your neighbor? The people you are working with, your boss, your kids who don't always listen to you all the time and are maybe immature sometimes, your spouse, your neighbor that does things that annoys you, your brother, your brother-in-law, your mother-in-law, your sister, whoever, people that you run into at the grocery store, the people in your circle, that's your brother, that's your neighbor. And so if you're not patient with them, that's what love is. Love is patient. Okay, so what does that mean? Long-suffering, it says in the King James Version. Well, that means for me, in my circumstance with our kids, they're not there yet. I'm not there yet. None of us are there yet, but they're a lot lower on the understanding than I am. And even in the things that we're teaching them or expecting, they're not always going to get it right. How patient am I in correction, loving? How patient are you with someone who annoys you? How much do you bear one another's burden as far as you endure with them? You endure the test. You stay calm. You stay poised. You show love. That's pretty cool. You don't puff yourself up, as it says. You don't go home and talk about the person who annoys you. You pray for them. That's what Christ would do. That's what love is. So we need to respond in love. My husband said a great thing yesterday. He goes, I'm noticing that some of the gray in Christianity isn't okay. Some of the stuff you're like, well, that's fine. It's not fine. Well, no. Well, if I let a swear word slip. No, it's not fine. And God's not judging us, but we're called to a higher standard. We are called to live separately. Jesus did. And I've said it before, it's for our own good. It's always for our good and for our benefit, always. So then this also I was challenged by and just so impacted by, and it really goes with everything else I say. You have to agree with God. I was reading about a lady, she's on co-host of Life Today, James Robison. Awesome, Life Today, so good, feeds kids and gives clean water and helps with stop sex trafficking, and awesome. And lost her husband, and anyways, you have to choose every day to believe that God's plans for you are good, no matter what the difficult circumstances. And so when I read it, I was just overcome with just like, everybody needs to choose this, believing and agreeing with God. Otherwise, the enemy, he is so quick to jump in and discourage us and get us down and get us hopeless and get us doubting and get us hating and get us blaming and get us anything. Blame anyone. But God. Period. But God is faithful. But God's words are true. But God says that he has good plans for us every single day. If we don't agree with that, but God says to love one another, if we don't choose to do that, who's at fault when things are going awry in our lives? And that doesn't mean like an accident or, that type stuff, but it means like just stuff that there's some things we can control because of our willingness and to obey and to agree with God. So my heart is that we all get this, that we all choose to live this way, choose to agree with God. And then I was looking at the Life International magazine, and all these precious little kids who don't have shoes, who get one meal a day. And I thought, what could I maybe give up? What could I do? And not that we have to live in poverty. I mean, give up everything and give it to the poor. No, God provides for us as children too. But I was just thinking, and it's something to ponder, it is such a blessing to give. And when we give, we really receive. So I want to share just the main thing is we need to agree with God in his ways. We just do. And we're blessed when we do. We truly are. And we need to love. It's not an option. It really isn't. And we need to check ourselves. So then on the way home from church, I said to our son, who's 14, what did you learn? And he's like, well, I didn't really get it, and I was like, well, you got some stuff. I'll share a couple things. And so I just shared a couple things about love. And I was like, love doesn't think they're better than anyone. And love isn't rude. Love doesn't judge. So those are all areas. And you look at 1 Corinthians, it's amazing. And you look at marriages, and that is how we're called to be in our workplace and in the store and wherever we are. Christ-like, him in us. And then agreeing with him when things are difficult, just agreeing with him. And again, I say it probably every session. How can we agree with him if we don't even know what he says? We have got to learn what he says. We have to. It's a blessing when we do. Blessing to act like and think like children of God. That's Christ made us children and heirs. And it's a blessing to act like that. So for your benefit today, read 1 Corinthians 13. And for your benefit today, read 1 John 4:20 and ask yourself, man, am I loving? And repent if you haven't been. And we all have areas where we're not. But then every day, I think it says it in Colossians. I know it says it in Colossians. It's that put on that love. We put that on. That's what we wear every day. That's who we are. That's who we are. So let's act like that and let's agree with God. And that's how we get to bear fruit, have true peace, true joy, blessed relationships, all the good things, all the good as God's children. So I hope that's encouraging to you. Thanks for listening, and be encouraged, be challenged. It's a challenge too. And have a great rest of the day.